It is time for Toots' Tips, brought to you by the Huddle House in Sylacauga. And Jimmy Toots home, 7-2 last week, 101 and 47 overall. And can you believe the season's almost done?
You know, Jim, when I got up this morning, I was thinking about that. I said, my goodness, it just don't seem like it's been that long ago that we started doing this. And here we are at the end.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of big games this week. By the way, I went to the Huddle House Wednesday morning, my buddy Ronnie Miner, and we, pardon my English, Miss Hare, we ate up a lot. So again, we want to thank Doug and all the fine folks at Huddle House for helping out with Toots' Tips. And I told the girls I'd be more than happy to talk about them, and that would be Wakia and Porsche and Cheryl, just three lovely ladies. I got to mention Kelly and Tammy. We're all on the first name basis out there.
Yeah.
I guess, I don't know if it's because I just go in there so much or this face is for radio. I don't know which it is, but at any rate, it's a good place to eat, good place to meet people. And
I took my grandson Zach over there yesterday morning.
Yeah.
Yeah, me and him were batching it.
Well, you know, since I've been going out there on Wednesdays, I've run into this lady named Lee. What her last name is, I don't have any idea, but she and I brag about what we eat, and she brags about how much I eat. So, but anyway, we want to again thank everybody at Huddle House for making this possible.
All right, let's get to it. We began today with a lot of in-state matchups this weekend, but here's one that's close to being in-state: Nebraska and Iowa.
Well, I'm going to tell you, Nebraska, boy, they have just been up and down, up and down. And
they don't like Bo Pelini up there a whole lot.
Wasn't that his brother that was somewhere that got into a mess of trouble? I think it was down at Auburn, was it not?
I don't know, but I know he got
I mean, he wasn't a coach at Auburn, they played down there.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm just going to take, I remember when old Hayden Fry used to be up there with the Hawkeyes, and he had some pretty good ball claims up there, but I'm just going to have to go with Bolini and the Corn Shuckers.
All right, take Nebraska. Arkansas at number 17, Missouri, in a huge matchup.
Well, this is probably one of the bigger ones other than the Iron Bowl, the Egg Bowl. A lot riding on this ball game. The Georgia Bulldogs, of course, have become huge Arkansas fans. And, you know, Georgia went in and just annihilated Missouri up in Columbia, the only conference loss they have. However, Missouri didn't play Alabama. They didn't play Auburn. So I tell you, Arkansas right now, Jim, I think is playing about as well as anybody in the SEC. If you're a Georgia Bulldog, you're going to say oink, oink with the Hogs.
All right. Missouri's got everything on the line. They win, they go to Atlanta.
If they lose, Georgia goes.
Yep.
And Georgia's SEC schedule is through. I think they play the Ramblin' Wreck from over in Atlanta.
Stanford at number 8, UCLA. There's a lot of talk about UCLA jockeying for position to get to that Final Four.
UCLA's played some very, very good football. And, you know, last week I told you I like little teddy bears, and I'm going to stay with it.
All right.
And that would be the UCLA Bruins. You know what UCLA stands for, don't you?
University of California at Los Angeles.
Bless your ever-loving heart.
Oh, yeah. Number 13, Arizona State. At number 11, Arizona, Rich Rodriguez.
Yep. They are at Arizona, the Arizona Wildcats. They've been playing pretty well. I'm going to go with the Wildcats at home over the Sun Devils.
Okay. Michigan. Used to be a big game. Michigan is at number 6, Ohio State.
Michigan's coach is probably, he'll be a hiatus after this ball game.
Wouldn't that be a great story, though, if
they're knocked off Ohio State? Where are they playing this
They're playing at Ohio State.
Oh, okay.
What do they call that? The shoe?
The horseshoe.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, the Michigan, they call it the big house, where they put about 106,000 or 7,000 people in. If they were playing in Michigan, I would say Ohio State would win. But because they're playing in Columbus, Ohio, I'm going to say Ohio State will win anyway.
You know, Ohio State, a lot of talk about them getting in that Final Four.
Yeah, Urban Meyers, of course, I think I made this statement. I don't particularly like him anyway, but I don't see how, Jim, if everybody wins out like they're supposed to, I just don't see it happening.
It can happen, though.
Mathematically,
a couple of teams lose.
Yeah. I'm not going to get into that like we did at the
all right.
But at any rate, I think the mathematically, there's several teams still alive.
One of the best teams that Georgia Tech has fielded in a number of years goes into Athens to take on the Georgia Bulldogs. Tech ranked number 16, Georgia number 9.
Well, I got a question for you. What time does Missouri play? Do you know?
Well, I can look back and tell you.
This is some scenarios I'm trying to.
2:30.
All right, and the Tech and Bulldog games at noon, I think.
At noon, yeah.
So
actually, those are Eastern time, so they play at 11, I guess. Tech and Georgia.
Okay. Well, I'm going to tell you, I think a lot of what Georgia's productivity will be today or tomorrow will have a lot to do with what Missouri does. Georgia's going to be a head start. They'll be watching the clock maybe in the second half. But anyway, I like the Georgia Bulldogs. I know that one big running back is out, but Chubb is there. They just blew Auburn off the face of the earth, and they're playing pretty well right now. And Mark Rick's got them believing they can get back into this scenario. So the winner of if Georgia, it doesn't matter about Georgia winning or losing. It all depends on the Missouri game, where Georgia goes or not. My personal opinion is, I think that Georgia matches up better against Alabama or Mississippi State, whom they played neither this year. So I just think that they match up better against either Alabama or Mississippi State other than Missouri. So I sort of hope to see the Hogs win their third straight SEC game this year. But at any rate, we like the Georgia Bulldogs.
Georgia Tech, though, having a good year.
They beat the starch out of Clemson not too awful long ago. And again, but their type offense, Jim, is pretty much, it's not formation-wise as good as it don't line up like Auburn's does, but it's basically a triple option.
Yeah.
A lot of times they don't run out of the wishbone, but they run out of wing tees and what have you. But it's still a triple option offense. And Georgia has looked at what I thought was a pretty good one when they played Auburn. So I think Georgia will be prepared for this high-flying offense that the Yellow Jackets will bring to Athens, Georgia.
Dabo Swinney and the Clemson Tigers need to beat South Carolina.
And I think they will. They playing at Clemson, or?
They are.
Well,
Death Valley?
Yeah. You won't be hearing that ding-dong chicken crowing all through the ball game, that's for sure. I was watching some broadcasts the other night, and Spurrier was talking about the rivalries, and this certainly in the state of South Carolina, this is as big as the Auburn-Alabama game or the Ole Miss-Mississippi State game for the people in South Carolina. I just think Clemson will get it done against Steve Spurrier's Fighting Gamecocks.
South Carolina's had a challenging year.
Yes, they have. I really, after they went in and just beat Georgia like they did, I thought, well, look out. Old Spurs got them back on the road to recovery. And then they just fell on some hard times. I know A&M went in and just blew them out. And so, again, it's just been an up and down year for the South Carolina Gamecocks. But I just like old Dabo. He's my kind of guy. He stays emotionally involved. He gets his kids ready to play.
They need to win.
Yes,
they haven't beaten South Carolina since he's been there.
Yep.
So we'll see about that. But you're taking Clemson.
I am.
Bobby Petrino and the Louisville Cardinal, number 22 this week, host Kentucky. And Kentucky hadn't won a game in a while, have they?
Well, they started out 5-1. And, of course, that adds up to 6 as best I can remember. And then they have not won since. So they need a win to be bowl eligible. I just don't think it'll happen against the Harley-Davidson team over there in Louisville, Kentucky. And, people know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But I think Bobby Petrino and the Louisville Cardinals will win the football game.
Can Florida hang in with Florida State?
Yes. Will they beat them? I don't know. Florida State, Jim, they've pretty much been spotting everybody anywhere from 14 to 21 points early.
Doesn't seem to bother them, does it?
It does not, and they seem to come back. Muschamp's last game as a head coach of the Florida Gators, I sure think that they're going to be ready to play. And if I was going to pick an upset, I would pick Florida. But they playing.
You'd like to, wouldn't you?
I would. Nothing would make me happier than to see the Florida State Seminoles get beat. They playing at Doak Campbell Field. Florida State's pretty tough there. I'm just going to have to stay with those ding-dong Florida State Seminoles.
The Egg Bowl, number 4 Mississippi State at number 19 Ole Miss, and Ole Miss is going the wrong way.
Well, they are, Jim, and they started off like a house of fire. And ever since, Auburn went over and beat them, and boy, it's just been tough on them ever since. Mississippi State, they have played extremely well all year. They had Alabama where they could have beaten them and didn't do it. Everybody's talking about a rematch between Mississippi State and Alabama in this first round of these playoffs. Mississippi State's got to handle business. Are they at Oxford or are they at Starkville?
They're in Oxford, yeah.
They're in Oxford? I don't hardly think it matters. They got the biggest line in football, period.
Ole Miss is capable, though.
They are. They had the quarterback, I forget his name, whatever it is, but he's played well.
Bo.
Who?
Bo. That's his first name,
Oh,
Bo.
okay. Well, we'll go with Bo. But at any rate, I think old Dab is the quarterback at Mississippi State. So I think, Jim, Mississippi State's got a lot to play for. They'll win. Well, by the way, when do they play?
They play at 2:30. CBS.
CBS?
See,
Yeah.
Alabama
plays at
CBS had Alabama 5 times. That's the limit you can have them. And that's why Alabama and Auburn's on ESPN. So they've got Mississippi State and Ole Miss.
Well, again, that's Alabama's going to be a lot of scoreboard watching, or probably watching the TV game. If Mississippi State loses, it doesn't matter what Alabama does against Auburn. If Mississippi State wins, certainly Alabama's got to win against Auburn to get to Atlanta. So, but to make a long story short, I like the Bulldogs to take that little rebel
Number
guy.
7 Baylor versus Texas Tech, and that will be where's Baylor at?
I want to say it's in Fort Worth, Texas.
It's in Texas, ain't it?
Yeah, you can bet on that. I want to say, is it Fort Worth? I'm not 100% sure.
Or is it Waco?
No, I don't think it's Waco. It could be. I don't really know.
Baylor's going to score a lot of points.
They are. Them, again, we talk about Bears. I like Bears. And
you like them Bears?
I like them little Bears. The Chicago Bears didn't do me no good this weekend, but I like Baylor to win the thing.
All right, number 10, Michigan State at Penn State.
It doesn't matter. Michigan State's got a good football team. Penn State, I think, is still reeling from all these sanctions they went through and what have you, Jim. I like Michigan State to win the football
Number
game.
18, Minnesota at number 14, Wisconsin.
This may be a real good matchup, but you got some Badgers chasing Gophers. Now,
Them Gophers is fast now.
they are fast, but them Badgers can hem you up in the corner.
They mean, too.
Yeah, when they get their hands on you, holy cow. I like Wisconsin.
2 teams that used to be marquee teams, not so much this year, Notre Dame at Southern Cal.
Well, Notre Dame, that just tickled me when everybody started beating them, and they were, I think the sports writers, Jim, was doing everything they could do to get them up there in that top echelon, and it just didn't work out. I'm going to tell you, I like the California team to beat Notre Dame.
All right, Tennessee at Vandy.
Tennessee's got to win to get bowl eligible. They're playing very well right now. The Commodores, they just, I don't know, Jim.
They're trying to get a win.
They're just trying to get a win, but I just don't think they'll beat the Tennessee Volunteers, and that will put Tennessee, another SEC school, bowl eligible.
Number 2, Oregon at Oregon State. Oregon State's got some clout to them now.
They have, but they don't have enough. The ducks and the beavers, and we talk some waterfowls now, so I'm telling you so.
Waterfowl, all right.
Yeah, but I don't think the fowls. I'm sorry, the beaver is going to knock the water off the ducks' back. So I'm going to stay with them with the quack attack.
All right, the premier game, the Iron Bowl in Tuscaloosa, first time since 2007. It's been played at night. Toot's tips, we conclude with that one. Of course, the Iron Bowl preview, the ratings were out the ceiling Tuesday night with you and Boom Boom.
Well, Boom Boom, Nate Dogg, Frog, whatever. A lot of folks call him a lot of things, and I really enjoyed sitting here chatting with Nate that night. We had a good time. I hope it was a little entertaining.
None of us know anything, but we had a good time.
Nate finally realized, he kept talking about these things that Alabama had to do, and he finally admitted that he'd heard Coach Griff say that. So we talked about Matt Griffith down at the Sylacauga High School. So, you know, he listened well to Coach Griff. You know, he and I talked about it, and again, I'm going to stick with my guns. I think that the only way Auburn has got a chance to win a football game is Alabama turn it over 3 or 4 times, and Auburn take advantage of that, not field goals, but touchdowns. Alabama's defense is, Auburn won't see a better, or hadn't seen a better defense than what they'll see. They say Mississippi State's is good. I don't think it's good as Alabama.
What has happened to Auburn as of late?
You know, I wish I could figure that out. That Texas A&M game down there, boy, I'm telling you, I was just totally in shock that they came in and handled Auburn like they did, and then I saw last night where LSU just handled A&M.
Seemingly Auburn hadn't fully recovered from that.
I don't think they have, Jim, and then they go to Georgia and take the opening kickoff and drive it down, put points on the board, and then bingo, it just stops. They can't do that against Alabama if they got a chance to win. On the preview show, I said if it got down to a kicking game, Auburn's kickers, field goal kicker, may be somewhat better. I don't know. Alabama's has been somewhat sporadic. I hope it comes to that. I hope it, you know, it's a real close ball game. I think if Auburn does win it, it's going to be with a field goal or less. Alabama has got a shot to blow this thing wide open. I'm still going to stick with my guns. In a mild upset, the Auburn Tigers 23, the Alabama Crimson Tide 20.
You taking the Tigers?
I got to stay with my Tigers.
All right. Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House. Always open, always fresh. And, you know, with Black Friday, and people are going to be grabbing something. They're tired of that turkey and dressing. They want some.
They're going to work it off today. But at any rate, you know, my wife is employed out at Walmart. And she was out there yesterday, had to work. And, boy, they were just driving in. And my daughter come home and said, Daddy, you don't even think about going out there. The parking lot's full. So it'll probably be the same thing today. And people just running over one another to get in the place. So Black Friday brings a lot of things to not only Sylacauga, Alabama, but around the country.
You know, people want to eat something good, though. They go to the Huddle House on Black Friday.
Well, I don't care if it's Black Friday or Green Wednesday. They got some good victuals. And again, I encourage everyone to go by and see Doug and all the fine staff there, and have yourself a good meal anytime you want it, whatever you want, whatever time you want it, you can get it. So my wife is getting on to me about eating there too much, but she said I'm going to get too big again. But I still like to go out there and eat.
Well, Zach got the waffle yesterday, and it was head to toe.
I can
Syrup
imagine.
Everywhere.
But I bet he enjoyed it, though, didn't he? Did he eat the HH in the middle of it?
Oh, yeah, he did.
Okay.
He did. And you know, he got the color book and the colors.
Oh, yeah, oh, yeah.
So we had to spend a little time there in working, too.
Well, they got my color book put aside from all the others. So.
They told me that you did a good job.
Yeah.
Toots' Tips brought to you by the Huddle House. Always open, always fresh. Toots 7-2 last year, 101, or last week 101 and 47 overall. We'll do this again next week, and we'll see where you ended up and look at some bowl games too. We will be back with you next Thursday. Is that right?
Next Thursday, yeah.
That's right, 6:30 here on Daybreak.